The Dalton Highway, also called the Haul Road, is one of the northernmost roads in the world. It was originally constructed by Alaska Pipeline Service Company to support the development of the Trans-Alaska Pipeline and to service the oil fields of Alaska's North Slope. It is now owned and maintained by the state of Alaska and is open to the public year-round. But this is not your average highway. The Dalton Highway starts with boreal forests, runs over the 4,800-foot Atigun Pass in the Brooks Range, transitions to the Arctic foothills, where it begins its 154-mile gradual downward slope to the Beaufort Sea, hence the name North Slope. Commercial truck traffic delivering supplies and fuel to the North Slope oil fields accounts for the majority of the traffic, although tourist traffic, including motorcycles and cyclists, have been increasing steadily since the highway was opened to the public in 1994. The first road intended for motorized vehicles that traverse the Arctic landscape was known as the Hickel Highway. It was the first attempt to provide road access to the newly discovered oil resources on the North Slope. This first road, which opened in 1968, brought the first supplies to the Prudhoe Bay oil fields and allowed for the construction of the first permanent facilities. This road, however, was farther to the west than the route planned for the Trans-Alaska Pipeline, and without maintenance, it was eventually abandoned. The oil companies needed a route to access their facilities at Dead Horse on the North Slope and to perform maintenance on the pipeline. So the Alaska Pipeline Service Company built the first version of the Dalton Highway, known simply as the Haul Road. Starting with the stretch from Livengood to the Yukon River in 1969. This road was focused entirely on the private oil industry needs, although Alaska agreed to build it to state secondary road design requirements. The Haul Road, also known by its official names, Elliott Highway from Fairbanks to the Manly Hot Springs Cutoff, and the Dalton Highway from the Manly Hot Springs Cutoff to Dead Horse, is a state-maintained 28-foot wide, 415-mile-long road affected by a wide range of terrain, weather, and road conditions. In addition to commercial traffic, oil field, and road maintenance vehicles, it is not unusual to see hunters, tourists, bikers, and wildlife. Each presents you with challenges that could demand some fast action, so you must stay alert at all times. Weather is one of the most challenging variables. While each season brings its own set of travel concerns, you're apt to run into challenging conditions at any time. For example, it's not uncommon to face a snowstorm in July on some sections of the highway. You need to drive appropriately for the weather and road conditions and be aware that these can change at any time. You also need to be aware that not all traffic on the Haul Road is oil support related, and there are drivers who may not adhere to the posted speed limits or may exhibit poor driving habits. All these factors mean that it is vital for all drivers to match your driving to the conditions. The maximum speed allowed anywhere along the Dalton Highway is 50 miles per hour. But this is not a superhighway. Slow and steady and ready to respond to the unexpected is the best course of action. The haul road has been in existence for about 5 decades, which means you'll encounter a variety of surfaces. Near Fairbanks, you're on paved roads. There are also several sections where you'll be driving on chip seal. However, about 75% of the haul road is graded, compacted gravel. The state of Alaska maintains the road, so one of the many things drivers need to watch out for is maintenance equipment. You'll find them at work year-round. However, despite the state's efforts to maintain the roads, those miles of gravel are very susceptible to the effects of weather. One of the most prevalent conditions is washboarding. Lack of moisture, poor driving habits, and varying quality of gravel play a major part in creating these conditions. What you have to guard against is being bounced into the oncoming lane or onto the shoulder of the road. It is especially dangerous at curves in the road. When you come upon one of these washboard sections, reduce your speed to ensure that your vehicle does not bounce uncontrollably. In other words, keep all 4 wheels on the road at all times. This advice also holds true when driving during the season when potholes are common. Mostly in the summertime, after it rains, you can encounter potholes that can be pretty big. Keep in mind that what may appear to be a small water puddle could actually be a large pothole. Hitting it too hard could cause severe tire and suspension damage. When driving on an unpaved road in the summer, the greatest hazard is being temporarily blinded by dust clouds, created by situations such as vehicles coming from the opposite direction, overtaking a slower vehicle, or when you're being passed. During the winter, you face the same problems, but from blowing snow. When visibility is limited, your natural tendency is to drift towards the center of the road. This is extremely dangerous since you quite often won't see an approaching vehicle until it is quite close to you. So you have no way of knowing what is behind the vehicle coming toward you, passing you, or beyond the slow-moving vehicle ahead of you. Slowing down and moving to the right when faced with oncoming traffic or being overtaken is also the best way to prevent rocking. Rocking happens when a passing vehicle kicks up gravel and sprays it out over the road. It is a significant cause of broken windshields and window glass as well as paint and body damage. Oftentimes, when large vehicles see that you are slowing down, they will slow down as well, greatly reducing any damage caused by flying rocks. When you are approaching a slower moving vehicle and wish to pass, don't run up on them. Flash your lights to get their attention and take care as you pass. If you are approaching a commercial vehicle, use your CB if you have one. Channel 19 works good. You also need to be careful when passing vehicles stopped alongside the road. Bicyclists, people on foot, and wildlife. Slow down and move away from them if possible. Courtesy and defensive procedures reduce the potential for a serious incident in these situations. And when you run across any situation that could present a hazard, alert other drivers along the way. Be aware that not all shoulders are created equal. In fact, along the Dalton, there is a great potential for soft shoulders, and they can be deceiving. Inadvertently driving onto the shoulder is a significant hazard in the winter when the road is overbladed and the snow is pushed out past the edge of the road. While it appears that the road is solid, when you drive on it, there's nothing below you. The best advice is to stay off these areas. But if you do run onto the shoulder, avoid overcorrecting. The best course of action? Gradually slow down. A good portion of the year, the Dalton is plagued with ice, snow, and freezing mist conditions. During these months, safe driving requires additional attention on your part. Keeping windows, headlights, taillights free of ice and snow, slowing down, leaving plenty of distance between you and other vehicles, keeping your four-wheel drive engaged, and being aware that winter driving is unpredictable. Don't power up hills. Applying extra power on snow-covered roads just starts your wheels spinning. Don't stop on a hill either. There's nothing worse than trying to start moving up an icy hill, or for that matter, sliding backwards down one. Watch for other traffic such as large trucks that will be approaching hills at high speed to make the hill. Snowplows can create clouds of blowing snow that may conceal the road and hide driving hazards. Never pass a snowblower from behind while it is blowing snow. Wait until the operator is aware of your presence and stops throwing snow before passing. If approaching a snowblower from the front, pull over and stop until the operator ceases throwing snow and the road is clear to proceed. Another major concern when driving in snow and blowing snow is drifts. They can occur at any place along the pipeline corridor. Be aware that drifts can be as hard as ice and have potential to cause extensive damage to the body or undercarriage of a vehicle. Also be aware that as you drive through a drift, there is a tendency to be pulled deeper into the drift. Whiteout conditions can happen anywhere along the haul road and can develop quickly. A whiteout is a condition where blowing snow causes loss of perspective and depth of vision. If you are caught in a whiteout, slow down and be aware of the tendency to drift towards the center of the road. Pay close attention to traffic ahead and behind you. When driving during whiteout conditions, pay attention to road mile markers. Find another vehicle and form a convoy. Most bridges don't allow that much clearance. They are generally narrow and can be slick when wet, icy, or covered in snow. Large vehicles or loaded truck traffic should generally be given the right of way. If you are allowing another vehicle to cross first, give that vehicle enough room to clear the bridge by slowing down or stopping. There are several areas that require special consideration. The most notable are Atigun Pass, Ice Cut, and Oil Spill Hill. Atigun Pass is the northernmost pass in Alaska. No other pass in the world climbs so high, so far north, with so much industrial traffic. It winds 4.5 miles beneath 2,000-foot mountain faces and 40 to 50 avalanche chutes. Visibility is a major problem due to dust in the summer and snow in the winter. You'll also have to watch for rocking during the summer and snowdrifts and avalanches in the winter, and the road is narrow. Severe weather, such as ice fog, high winds, whiteouts, and avalanches, occur frequently in Atigun. Also, the weather can be significantly different from one side of the pass to the other. The ice cut is a steep hill with limited visibility due to the sharp change of direction at the top of the hill. North and south bound traffic cannot see one another. It is located between pump stations 2 and 3. Oil Spill Hill is another area where visibility is limited, and you need to be prepared for the unexpected. For drivers traveling up Oil Spill, they need a little more road. It's a blind spot, and they need to know if there's oncoming traffic. Doesn't matter what your reason is for being on the Haul Road or the Dalton Highway. Do this first. Do a pre-trip inspection of your vehicle. Check all your tires, including the spare. Make certain safety equipment is in place, including first aid kit, reflective triangles, tire changing tools, fire extinguishers, and a functioning flashlight. If you are traveling during winter months, October 1st through May 1st, you may also need shovel, tow rope, and proper Arctic gear for all passengers. It's a well-traveled road, but there are times when, due to weather conditions, you may have to fend for yourself for maybe up to a day or so. Once out of Fairbanks, there are minimal services. A cafe at Yukon River Crossing and a cafe, gas station, and some minimal vehicle repair services can be had at Coldfoot. North of Coldfoot, there are no more options for fuel until Deadhorse. There are no medical services, so be sure to have any medications before you leave. Where can you camp along the way? 5 Mile Campground, mile 60, only 4 miles north of the Yukon River. Then the Arctic Circle Wayside Campground at mile 115. The Marion Creek Campground, mile 179.5. And the Galbraith Lake Campground at mile 275. The construction of this impressive highway was the first step towards the completion of the Trans-Alaska Pipeline System, which has to this date delivered over 18 billion barrels of oil from Alaska's North Slope to Valdez for transport to the lower 48 United States. Capitalism at its finest.